Hey, ladies and gents, Joe here, the man who, let's be honest, fun fact, I'm the best Magic the Gathering player you know, and I'm here to talk about another Apex card. This time, it's UFC Fight Night, Ribas versus Namajunas. But, let's just get to it. Enough talk, let's get to the fights. But for the main event, Amanda Ribas trying to stop Rose Namajunas from getting her first win at flyweight. I think everyone had a decent perception of what was going to happen in this fight. Rose was the better fighter, but this fight would be a little competitive because no one really runs through Amanda Ribas. The only one I can think of at the top of my head is Marina Rodriguez. But no one really runs through Ribas. You got to really work for it, but Rose is a better fighter. She's going to win, and her skill mostly is going to lead her to a unanimous decision victory. And I think if you want to build up Rose as a big threat towards the title at 125 pounds, this is how you matchmake it. But I think a lot of hardcore fans, because we're not in the business side of things, we want we want great fights, and this was a good fight. I think, but for the hardcore fans, we have questions about fighters, especially Rose, who was a champion at 115 pounds, who's moving up to 125 pounds. This is her second fight there. We have questions about how well is she going to be at 125 pounds, because the Manon Farrow fight, I thought she looked too small, but I don't think I have enough conclusive data to warrant that. I don't know necessarily. So you kind of want to put her in, as bad as it sounds, for me, I think you need to put her in against someone who's big and tall. Because at 125 pounds, Rose Namajunas was a tall, lanky fighter, and she she has a wonderful mastery of distance control and understanding of range, which we saw in this fight. But I think this advantage is neutralized, at least her reach and length is neutralized at flyweight. But then again, I have to say, I'm kind of torn on this because I am anti-weight cutting. Just in general, basically, I think if we could, I would love same day. I would love hydration tests mandatory throughout training camp. I know that would be really invasive, because I know drug testing is already pretty invasive and it cuts on time. And we've heard all the USADA horror stories of why are these dorks knocking on my door at 4 a.m. Tim Kennedy almost shot one, thinking it was some guy trying to break in. But at the same time, I would same day weigh-ins sound like a good way, because it's going to be really hard to rehydrate, so I think, I don't know, that's just me. That's a topic for another day. I'm sure I'll one day, maybe on a rainy day, I'll shoot a video just me talking about weight cutting. But for now, the fight though, everyone's prediction was pretty right. It's Rose, masterful boxing. Trevor Whitman, he wasn't in the corner actually. I think a second fight in a row he wasn't in the corner. But Trevor Whitman, trained fighters. Trevor Whitman, I gotta be honest, I think he's the best striking coach on the planet. I think she's still training with Trevor Whitman. I just don't think he was in the corner. But under Trevor Whitman, her boxing is immaculate. Took a unanimous decision with it, with great right hands, a lot of good lefts. The left was it seemed like the left was the one that was stinging Ribas, but the right hands were landing almost at will, it felt like for me. Ribas was using kicks and was trying to get the fight to the ground, where she, in her mind, thought she had the advantage, which I think a lot of us maybe thought her getting there would be the advantage, but on the ground was kind of interesting for me. And no, Rose, kept it even, if not outright reversing her at times. Rose is a very crafty grappler, admittingly. Her wrestling is her weakness. She's going to get taken down all day. It's really hard for her to stop takedowns. But when you do get her to the mat, it's kind of a hard task to deal with. I think Weili Zhang, the most success she had grappling, is probably the most success outside of Carla Esparza, obviously tough finale, in their one fight. But Weili Zhang mostly had success in their rematch just by taking her down and holding her down. Basically laying and praying on her so she doesn't get swept or submitted. And, it's kind of sometimes you have to do that against a really crafty, person, someone who's really good off their back. And Rose is one of them. I still have to come back to this weight thing. is I don't feel like Ribas is the big scary flyweight to challenge Rose and to test her. Manon Farrow and Rose I thought was a close fight, but I did score it for Farrow. And if it wasn't for Talia Santos just getting like randomly cut, then I think she would have been a really fun and perfect test for Rose here. You know, Santos, big power hitter that can wrestle. Just ask former champion Valentina Shevchenko if she can wrestle. I don't mean that in a negative way. You know, she got out wrestled in that fight. Doesn't mean she won or lost. But I'm not sure what you do with Rose. Actually, I do have somebody. I think they brought this up. I think they said Macy Barber wants a piece of Rose. And you know, that's actually a good matchup. I just thought of this. You know, Macy Barber, it's a good test because Macy Barber is I'm trying to think of the word here. A thicker, you know, in a good way, you know. She's a bigger, stronger flyweight. She's bigger and stronger than anyone Rose would have fought at strawweight, you know. But at flyweight, Macy's considerably bigger than what she'd probably be used to, and I think this is I think that's a good idea. Good test for both of them, admittingly, because Macy loves to box the air in front of an opponent, and Rose has this incredible range and distance control. But obviously, the physical gifts of strength and size are going to be in Macy Barber's corner, which does play a factor in a fight. I know, like as martial artists, like me as martial artist, you want to just call it like, you know, oh, it's skill versus skill, but that ain't how it is.
I don't wanna touch you too much, baby.
We have to, something we really need to dig in on this story, something to sink our teeth into this wildness, and I'm already sick of my biting puns I've wrote for this script, because there was a straight up bite on this card. Mike Kyle on West Sim Style, which I've covered on a retro review before. Two debuting fighters, Andre Lima took on Igor Severino. It was a good first round. It was a good first round in their fight. I was giving it to Lima. Severino wanted to grapple. Lima was striking, but Lima was doing a good job staying off his back. And second round, you know, Severino's trying to get Lima to the ground. You know, he has like back clench from the back. And he straight up just starts chomping in, you know, on the bicep right here from the back, just like a dog. Not calling Severino a dog necessarily, but you know, it reminds you of like a little puppy we got. You know, Lima had a good bite mark, so the ref just straight up calls the fight. DQ Severino, just being chomped on by him. So how did this play out after? Well, Lima, I thought I saw it when I wrote the script, but now I can confirm I saw it now, that Lima did get a tattoo of the bite, which is kind of cool. Some way to remember it, you know, it's kind of funny. Severino got instantly cut. Just, you know, good riddance. We don't want that here. But then they actually gave Andre Lima the bite of the night bonus. Didn't know that was a thing, but I'm glad to hear it. Ridiculous stuff. And if I gotta be honest, I actually forgot there was fights tonight or last night. And then I saw everybody talking about the bite, and I was like, oh, now I got to make time to watch this card. I had no idea there was a card tonight. All these Apex events just kind of like run, and I thought we had a break then next week. So you know how it is. But for the rest of the card, because I talked a lot already, Carl Williams, he continued the streak of bad luck for the Taffer brothers by beating Justin via unanimous decision. Edmund Shabazian got a great comeback KO to get on the winning ways. Peyton Talbot got a TKO win over Cameron Simon. Youssef Zalal got a submission win over Prime Boy material, honestly. Billy Quarantillo, I always say Quarantillo because I see the two L's and the name sounds vaguely Hispanic. You know, his mama called him Quarantillo. I'm going to call him Quarantillo. Which I think that's the first time he's ever been submitted. I think I remember hearing him say. Fernando Padillo, he got a sick Bravo choke or a Darce choke. I kind of want to watch it again to kind of see, but he got it over Luis Pajello. I'm going to look again because like Bravo chokes, I always think of, you know, almost like you anaconda it a little bit. And Darce, I think just full on. I don't know. Those are kind of similar to me initially. Like I remember going for Darce's and someone saying I was getting a Bravo choke back in the day and vice versa. There, you know, it's a choke. Trey Ogden got a decision win over Kurt Hollabaugh. Juicy J, Julian Arosa got a big comeback guillotine win over Ricardo Ramos. Miles Johns, he got a unanimous decision win over Cody Gibson, as did Yano Aarons over Stephen Wynn. I stuttered over Aarons late. Sorry, folks. And Daria Zeleznyakova. Zeleznyakova, yeah. I practiced that beforehand. I think I did okay there. Over Montserrat Rendon. Finally, Mick Parkin got a unanimous decision win over Kamaru Usman's brother, and tough winner, actually, his brother Muhammad Usman. That's it for me, though. Slow news week, as I didn't hear anything out of it, like, too exciting to share, at least. Don't worry, though, as next week, we have an absolutely mouth-watering contest, honestly, that I'm actually really pumped for. Aaron Blanchfield versus Manon Fiorot. And it should be a title eliminator. It should be. But we can, you never know. We can always hope. The UFC should be a meritocracy, but it isn't sometimes. Just look at bantamweight. Ooh, that was fierce. That was evil of me. Also, if you didn't know, we actually have new content out on the Patreon early. Like, you can see all this awesome content early, like, at least for, like, the retro reviews, the main channel videos. It's so awesome. And, like, speaking of, actually, the newest retro review, it's already on Patreon. You can watch it right now early. You can tell all your friends, like, yeah, I have a feeling Joe's going to rate this fight a 5, or I'm going to give him, I think Joe's going to say it's a 6. Yeah, because you know, and you're going to look like a genius, and everyone's going to think you're awesome, and your crush is going to high-five you. That's not a legal guarantee. But as a bonus, if you sign up, you get all that amazing content early, and you get to request a card for me to review on the Retro Review series. It's going to be sick. As long as I can get my hands on it, I'll review it. It sounds awesome. And you can even see Patreon exclusive content. We got more coming up, but right now, the big one right now is me and Carl's new show on Patreon, INC Uncaged, which me and Carl just talking about everything from non-MMA to MMA, just for S's and G's and just off-topic things. I'm Joe with the INC. Thank you so much for watching. Peace, guys.